Birmingham, England. It's a city that holds memories of the wildest days of rock and roll, a place where the sound of heavy riffs and thunderous drums once shook the very streets. For fans of Black Sabbath, the hometown heroes, it's not just any city, it's the birthplace of a legend. And on one chilly night in February 2017, Black Sabbath played their final show in Birmingham, marking the end of an era. The crowd is buzzing with excitement. Fans of all ages gather, some who grew up with Sabbath's groundbreaking music in the 70s, and others who were introduced to them more recently. But the sense of nostalgia is palpable. This is the final performance from the band that gave birth to heavy metal itself. Everyone knew this was a moment they would never forget. Ozzy Osbourne stands backstage, feeling a mixture of emotions. It's hard to imagine a life without Sabbath. After all, it wasn't just a band, it was family. The ups, the downs, the countless fights and reconciliations, the music that changed the face of rock forever. And now, it was all coming to an end. The End Tour, as it was called, would be their final curtain call. The crowd erupts as the opening chords of Black Sabbath echo through the arena. Ozzy steps onto the stage, and the magic is undeniable. He may have been through personal struggles, controversies, and health issues over the years, but when he's on stage, it's as if the world stops. And in that moment, it feels like time itself stands still. This isn't just a concert, it's the closing chapter of a saga that influenced generations of musicians and fans alike. But as the night moves forward, the question lingers, is this really the end? The band had already said their goodbyes on previous tours, but this time felt different. The truth is, this final show in Birmingham was a mixture of relief and heartbreak, joy and sorrow. The end of Black Sabbath was also the end of an era in rock music. Behind the scenes of the final show, the lights are dimmed, and backstage, the band members, one by one, prepare for the final set. Tony Iommi, the legendary guitarist, checks his gear with a focused intensity. He's been the constant force behind Sabbath, the creator of the iconic riffs that define the genre. His journey has been long and full of challenges, from battling cancer to dealing with lineup changes. Yet, he stands resolute, ready for the final performance that will forever be etched in history. Geezer Butler, the bassist, walks across the stage with a quiet confidence. He's the unsung hero of Sabbath, the mastermind behind some of the band's most profound lyrics. But there's a deep sense of closure in his eyes. This band had been more than just a job to him, it had been a calling. And now, after decades of touring and recording, it's all coming to an end. Then there's Ozzy, pacing nervously in his dressing room. The Prince of Darkness is ready to go on stage, but a part of him knows that this might be his last time singing the classics like Iron Man, War Pigs, and Paranoid in front of his hometown crowd. For Ozzy, the moment is bittersweet. As the frontman of Black Sabbath, he had endured the spotlight for decades, through controversies, personal struggles, and health battles. But standing here in Birmingham, in front of the fans who supported him from the very beginning, it's all worth it. As the show kicks off, the energy is palpable. The band delivers every song with the intensity and passion they've always been known for. But behind the scenes, it's clear that the gravity of the moment is weighing heavily on each member. The last few songs are filled with emotion, and as they reach the climax, there's a silence that hangs in the air. This is it. The last time Black Sabbath will ever perform in their hometown. But Ozzy's not ready to say goodbye. He throws his arms out, soaking in the love from the crowd, but it's hard to ignore the fact that he's unsure what life will look like after this. Can he ever replicate the magic of Black Sabbath? Will he ever have the same connection with an audience again? The emotional farewell. The last notes of Paranoid ring out. The crowd goes wild, but it's a bittersweet moment. This is not just another show, it's the end of Black Sabbath's journey. Ozzy and the band stand together, arms around each other, acknowledging the thunderous applause of the crowd. It's a scene that's both triumphant and melancholic. The fans chant for more, but Ozzy and the band know the truth, there will be no encore. Backstage, the reality sinks in. Tony, Geezer, and Ozzy share a quiet moment together. There's no need for words, they've been through so much together, both professionally and personally. This is a goodbye, not just to their fans but to each other. The bond they share as bandmates is unspoken but undeniable. After all, it wasn't just the music that made Black Sabbath what it was the chemistry, the friendships, and the trials they faced along the way. Ozzy's voice cracks as he addresses the crowd, thanking them for their unwavering support throughout the years. The emotion in his words is clear. This final show is not just about the music, it's about saying goodbye to a part of himself that has been with him for his entire life. The band exits the stage one last time, leaving the audience in stunned silence. They know they've just witnessed something truly historic. But even as the lights come up, and the crowd begins to file out of the arena, there's an undeniable sense of finality hanging in the air. This is the end of Black Sabbath, and for the fans, it's the end of an era. What happens after the end? As the dust settles and the last echoes of Black Sabbath's final show fade away, fans are left to wonder, what happens next? For Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and even Bill Ward, who wasn't part of the final lineup, the end of Black Sabbath doesn't mean the end of their musical careers. But it does mark the end of a journey that began over 40 years ago. Ozzy, of course, continues to tour and make music. The Prince of Darkness isn't ready to retire just yet. But without Black Sabbath, the question remains, what will his legacy look like? Can he ever top the success he found with the band that changed rock forever? Tony Iommi, for his part, has said he'll continue to work on music. But the thought of creating something as monumental as Black Sabbath's catalog is daunting. It's impossible to replicate that magic, and Tony knows that. For him, it's about creating new music, even if it never reaches the same heights as what he achieved with Sabbath. Geezer Butler, too, moves forward with his own projects. But there's always that lingering sense that Black Sabbath was his true calling, his life's work. He'll never be able to escape the shadow of the band that made him a rock legend. As for the fans, they're left with memories, recordings, and a legacy that will never fade. The final show in Birmingham will live on in the hearts of those who witnessed it, a testament to the power of music to bring people together, to inspire, and to change the world. A legacy that lives on. Years after the final show in Birmingham, the legacy of Black Sabbath continues to influence musicians and fans alike. Their music remains timeless, a touchstone for new generations discovering the power of heavy metal. And while the band may have ended, their influence is far from over. The final show in Birmingham was the culmination of a long and storied journey, but it wasn't the end of the story. Black Sabbath's impact on rock music continues to resonate, as their music is passed down through the generations. The sound of the opening chords of Iron Man still echoes in the halls of rock clubs and stadiums around the world, reminding us all of the band that changed music forever. For those who were there, the final show was more than just a concert. It was a celebration of everything Black Sabbath stood for, the rebellion, the raw energy, and the unrelenting pursuit of musical innovation. It was a moment where fans and bandmates alike could say, "We did it. We changed the world." And while Black Sabbath may have played their final show in Birmingham, their legacy will continue to inspire, forever etched in the annals of rock history. The end.